everybody, it's Patty, Rockstar Mom, and as you saw from the title of this video, it's going to be just a little bit of everything. Some things that have happened to me in the last few days and even a review. So if you're interested in hearing what's happened and a review and getting a little update on CocoBean, stay tuned. For those of you who watch me on a fairly regular basis and have watched me for a little while, you know that the surroundings are a little bit different. We are in Florida, and that's where I am going to start my news, or not really news, but what's happening. We had decided, made these plans a while back to we were here for Thanksgiving for the week, went home for 3 days. And my husband had exams at the college where he teaches, so he had to do exams. Then we were planning on coming back to Florida this past Friday, day before yesterday. Today is Sunday. So we decided this trip to bring my new little car. I have had a brand new little BMW. Had it just a couple of months. My husband decided that he wanted me to be driving something fun. So we, since we got the car, well, when we came down for Thanksgiving, we came in his really tricked out pickup truck, one of those nice ones that is nicer than a lot of cars. But we decided, you know, we didn't have a lot of things to bring this trip, and mainly just bagel, and we were going to be here for a couple of weeks. We're going back the weekend before Christmas. So we decided to bring the little car. We thought that would be fun. We got the car all packed up. We got Bagel in her crate in the back seat behind the driver's seat, and we take off for Florida. From our house in Arkansas to the condo here in Florida, it's exactly 12 hours. It's never any shorter than that, and it seems to never be any longer than that. We stop a couple of times, you know, a few times to get gas and to let Bagel out, and we usually go through a drive-through and get something to eat, and we always have snacks in the cars. And you know, if we leave at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, we can be here by 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And it's just not a bad trip. Even though I'm not riding in the car for long periods of time, it's not my favorite thing to do. So we got about 100 miles north of Birmingham. We were just riding along. My husband was driving. He was in the left-hand lane on the interstate. Virtually no traffic, and he was going for sure the speed limit, maybe a little bit faster, but not much. And I had my iPad in the pocket of the car door, so I reached down to get my iPad, and when I picked it up, I went to I looked down to hit the power button, and I did immediately. All of the airbags in the car opened, and my husband was throwing on the brakes and telling me to brace myself. And the car filled up with the airbag dust, and you could not see anything. He managed to stop the car, but when we got to a complete stop, we were up against a guardrail. We hit a deer. And it was a huge deer. My husband took a picture. I went back and took a picture of it later. I didn't want to see it, obviously, but he said it was a very large deer, and it just came up out of a ditch on the side of the interstate, and it got us on the driver's side on the front bumper. I will show a couple of pictures here. we were so lucky that there were no other cars around, so we weren't in danger of hitting another car or having a car hit us. It just, for it to happen, it happened the best way it could happen. So, but I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know with other new cars how it is when there's an emergency, but I know that with BMW, when we bought that car a couple of months ago, that BMW has their own satellite that you're connected to. And we had to give them my phone number because I was the primary driver. And we had to give them the phone number of someone to contact in an emergency, which we had done, both of those. And so as soon as it was instantly when those airbags came open and this was happening, we were hearing this voice in the car saying, Mr. and Mrs. Bailey, Mr. and Mrs. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And we're both saying, we think we are, yes, we think we are. And she was saying, get the car stopped and get out of the car if you can. Can you get out of the car? Well, I had already, it was like instinct. I was not even thinking, but because the car was so full of dust and we couldn't see, I had started to roll down my window. So my window was down so that we could breathe, so that we could get some air, get some of that dust out of the car. For some reason, I was thinking that, but she asked us if we could get out of the car, and I knew I could. We still couldn't see that we were up against the guardrail. We had no idea, and we were maybe 2 inches from it, but just parallel to it. But anyway, I looked to make sure there were no cars coming, and I was able to get out of the car. And my husband, of course, we didn't know at the time that he was up against the guardrail, but he couldn't open his car door, or the driver's side car door. But she asked us if we could get out of the car, and I knew I could. We still couldn't see that we were up against the guardrail. We had no idea, and we were maybe 2 inches from it, but just parallel to it. But anyway, I looked to make sure there were no cars coming, and I was able to get out of the car. And my husband, of course, we didn't know at the time that he was up against the guardrail, but he couldn't open his car door, or the driver's side car door. So, I said, honey, you're just going to have to somehow get over the console and come out on my side, which the 6'2" man managed to get across that console and get out of the car. By then, 2 or 3 18-wheeler trucks had stopped, and a couple of other cars had stopped to see if we were okay. And we got out of the car, we were okay. We could see that Bagel was, the car was not on fire. There was not any chance that was going to happen. And Bagel, I'm quite sure, was banged around pretty bad back there when it happened. But she looked to be fine, still in her crate. So we managed to get all of the windows down then, and just left her there while we dealt with the situation. But what was so funny is this woman, Jessa, I know that you don't know, I make YouTube videos, so I know you're not watching, but it was Jessa talking to us. And Jessa was telling us exactly everything to do. In fact, when she was sure that we were okay, and she said, and she was telling us to get out of the car, she said, I want you to she said, I'm going to keep talking in the car. You've got, then at that point she knew we had the windows down. She said, I'm going to keep talking to you in the car so you can hear my voice. But Miss calling me by my name, she said, your cell phone should be ringing right now if you have it. And my cell phone was on the console, and I had picked it up off of the floor on my side before I got out of the car, so I had my cell phone. So I'm talking to her on the cell phone, and she told me that they had already contacted the highway patrol, and they were on their way, and they had already contacted the BMW. I don't remember the name of it, but it was where they arrange to get the wrecker, the tow truck, and she said, and they're texting you right now the information of the tow truck getting there, the name of it, the estimated time of arrival, because we were, as I said, about 100 miles north of Birmingham, and we were about a quarter of a mile from Hamilton, Alabama. It's just a tiny wide spot in the road, no businesses, nothing there on the interstate, just the access or the exit road to get off to go to Hamilton. So we knew that it might be 30 or 40 minutes before they could even get a tow truck there. But we were still on the phone with her, and not one but two highway patrolmen came up and to check on us and to do everything that they have to do. It was just pretty scary, to say the least. As scary as it was, we're fine. Neither one of us were hurt. Airbags. Oh, thank God for airbags. A couple of things happened that surprised me with it. Is my husband was driving, and I knew this car had some airbags. I didn't know how many, but his airbag there's one like on top of the dashboard, I guess, under the windshield, came open, deployed. The one in the steering wheel deployed, and there was one under his feet that deployed. And then there was one on his side that went the full length of the car that deployed. And then on my side, and by the way, when we hit the deer, his seatbelt locked, so that he did not even go forward. He knew that. He did not even go forward. On my side of the car, my airbag under the windshield deployed, the one in the dashboard deployed, and the one at my feet deployed. The long one that goes the length of the car on my side did not deploy, obviously because the car was hit over on the driver's side. But I had no idea. Oh, and my seatbelt did not lock into place. I literally went forward. It was connected. It was latched across me, down low. But this part, how sometimes that seatbelt is loose and you can move around in it. And his grabbed instantly and locked, but mine didn't. I have my chest was immediately sore, and my left knee, I'm pretty sure my legs were crossed. I had my left leg crossed over my right leg sitting in the car when it happened. And so my chest right here and was a little bit sore, not much, just, I could feel it. I knew I had been hit, and my knee was sore, but again, it wasn't bad. In fact, by the time I got out of the car, and walked around a bit, my knee was fine. It didn't hurt me. I could feel a little bit, but it didn't hurt me. My breathing was fine. Of course, I'm sure we were both just working on adrenaline. I'm on the phone the whole time with the BMW people, and my husband had his cell phone, and he was on the phone with our insurance company, getting all of that taken care of, finding out where we needed to take this car. So we were told by our insurance company that they felt like the best place for us to take this car was to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is almost 100 miles in a slightly different direction, but they felt like we would be better off if the car could be repaired, taking it to this one particular collision place there. So when the tow truck got there, and of course Bagel is still in the car, and she's such a good dog. She rarely barks, and so I kept checking on her. I could see her through the window. that she was okay. And the tow truck got there, and we managed to, or he did, manage to get the car from the side of, being up so close to the guardrail onto the tow truck, and pulled the tow truck up a little bit with the car on it, and then lowered it back down so that we could get Bagel out. And we rode in the cab of the tow truck to Tuscaloosa, almost 100 miles. And this is where it sort of gets funny. You have to find humor in things. He was the neatest young man. The state troopers could not have been nicer. They stayed there with us until until we left in the tow truck. But we were in the tow truck, and the little driver was in the driver's seat driving, and it was like a 5-speed. And there was a gap in between the driver's seat and the other seat, and the gap was about this far, and the gear shift was right here. So my husband was against the window, and I'm next to him. And he's as close to the window as he can get, and I'm as close to him as I can get. And I'm holding Bagel, and one butt cheek is hanging off of the side of this seat because that seat is not wide enough for both of us. And my husband is on the phone the whole time, and I'm holding Bagel and trying to make small talk with the little tow truck driver. And we had the best time in that truck. We got to know all about him. A young father with 3 small children, and he had a baby boy who was just 3 weeks old. And I learned all about his dogs and his wife, he made that trip of us packed on that little seat, and he's shifting gears literally between my legs because I had no place to put my legs, and I'm holding Bagel. But that little trip for almost 100 miles was so easy because he was just the nicest young man. So we get to Tuscaloosa, and we go to the collision shop, and it's huge. And when he got the car unloaded, and the owner of the collision shop came back to talk to us to find out what had happened. And he, was sort of looking around the car, and he told us even though to look at it, it doesn't look as horrible as it should or could, but he could tell just where the light was out, had been knocked out. He could, just looking through there without touching anything, he said, I think there's a very good chance that the car is totaled, which at this point, that's sort of what we're hoping for, is that the car is totaled. But he said, I'm fairly certain the car is totaled. He said, it looks like your frame may have been bent. And then he said, did you guys have your sunroof open while you were driving? And we both sort of said no. And he went, look at your sunroof, and it was buckled up. So the driver's door it had smashed in so that the driver's door could not be open. Even if we weren't up against the guardrail, my husband couldn't have gotten out on the driver's side because of that. So we took care of all of that. And they're telling us even if it can be repaired, it's going to be into 2015 before they can get it repaired because they're just so busy at that shop. But our insurance company had arranged for a rental car that, they had already taken care of that there in Tuscaloosa. And I'm driving a minivan, yes, and it's so much fun. But the car rental place we had to wait for them to come and get us, and they came and got us, took us to their facility, and by now I think it's 3:00 in the afternoon, or maybe 4, and we get to the car rental place, and the young lady who had come to get us, we're just a little small talking, and I asked her if there was, I said, I'm sort of getting hungry. It's been a long time since I had even anything to eat. And she said, oh, right here next to us is a really, it's new and I like it. She said it was called Zoe's, and I have never heard of Zoe's, but it says Zoe's Natural Foods. And I said, well, I'm a vegetarian, so I bet they have something. So I went over to look to see if I could get something to eat for us to eat, and my husband said, I don't know if I want that. I'm going to go in here and deal with the car, and you get what you want, and then we'll find something for me. So anyway, I went in there, and of course the young girl says, how are you doing? And I said, you don't want to know. And I gave her a real quick little rundown of what had happened to us that morning, and placed my order. And I was overfilling my iced tea cup to take with me, and I went back and I had my wallet, and I said, let me, I need to get a glass of tea for my husband. I don't think he's had anything to drink for several hours now. And she handed me a cup, and I said, how much is it? And she said, nothing, not a thing. She said, it's on me. So, another wonderful person that we came in contact with. So I went over. I was just going to wait until we got everything situated and on our way, because I knew at that point we were probably fairly close to it. I was just going to take my food and eat it once we got on our way to Florida. I walked in, and he was finishing up at the car rental place, and he said, what'd you get? And I told him, and I said, I think you would like it. So he went in and got something to eat. And we had to go back to the collision, unload our car completely, and we had, trust me, when I tell you the car was full, it was full. So we got the car unloaded, got the van loaded, and headed out. And from the time we had the accident until the time we pulled out of the collision place for the last time, it was almost 6 hours. We were just so relieved. At that point, we were about 4 hours from Florida. So we talked about it, and we talked about maybe just stopping and finding a hotel, motel, and spending the night. And then, we sort of looked at each other and said, he said, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. Are you okay? And he said, I'm fine. And we just decided to drive on in to Florida, and got to the condo, and it wasn't too awfully late. And we just sort of looked at each other, and actually it was at that point he just sort of went to me and I went to him, and we hugged each other and stood there for a minute and said, what a day, what a day. So that was my Friday. And before I even tell you anything else about all the stuff that's going on with me, I want to do the review. And the review that I'm going to do, for those of you who know me and have been watching me, you know that I never tell you to buy anything. I always want you to, if you're really listening to what I say, to think about if that's going to work for you, if it's something that you would like, if you have the money for it. That always has to be your decision. I would never say to you, go buy this. I am going to tell you something to go buy. A week or so ago, QVC it was the Today's Special Value, and it was one of their halos. And if you're not familiar with the halo is a battery charger. It will charge all of your electronics except for your computer. For whatever reason, it has all these little adapters, so it pretty much fits any Android or smartphone or iPad or tablet. And I saw the presentation. Actually, I didn't see the presentation. I went on QVC to price compare for a Christmas gift I was buying for someone. And this popped up as the Today's Special. And I clicked on it to look at it. And I told my husband, I'm ordering this. It was the halo, and this is what it looks like. And I'll show it to you a little bit more in detail in a minute. But it's a battery charger, and that day you could get 2 of these for $50. And this takes 6 hours. It comes partially charged, but you need to plug it into your computer, and it needs to totally charge for 6 hours. And after 6 hours, it's good for, I believe it said up to 24 months to charge any of your technology. So I told my husband I'm ordering it, and one of them I'm gonna give to my daughter, because as much as she travels and with what she does, she needs this. So Thursday afternoon, when our UPS guy came, he delivered the box that had the 2 of these in it. This one is, you can see it's sort of a red leopard, and hers is solid red. And you open it up, and it's a mirror. But, and that's the charging part. This side has the slot for a credit card. You know, the biggest crime, they say now, is an app that people can load on their smartphones, and they can walk up to you and hold their smartphone close to your pocket if you're a man and you have your wallet in your pocket, or to a woman, and that app will read your credit cards in your wallet or in your purse. And they did a special on this recently on maybe one of the nightly news, and they said if you don't want to buy one of the new wallets that have the special plate in them that prevents that app from reading your credit cards, you can wrap a piece of aluminum foil around your cards. And I told my husband that, and he said, I'm not wrapping foil around my cards. But anyway, this obviously is too much to put in a man's pocket. But anyway, you can put your credit cards down in here, and it protects them. And then I'll go ahead and show you. It has several adapters, but you saw how I just pulled that out of the side. And this plugs into my computer, and this end plugs into my cell phone, my iPhone. And it charges. So when this happened, well, this came in Thursday. I having trouble pushing it back in there. I took it out immediately, and I plugged it into my computer, and I charged it. And I threw it in my bag early Friday morning to bring down here with me. I thought I would need it. My phone battery is always going dead on the beach. So I have so much crap on this phone that I'm always charging it. So I knew I would use this on the beach to charge my phone. So we were out, this accident had happened, and both of our phones were almost dead. I mean, you know, isn't that always the way it happens? They were both almost dead. So I remembered this because I was on the phone with the BMW people, and I was calling our kids to let them know what was going on, and of course they're worried to death, and they're calling back and forth to see what's going on and to make sure. And my phone I had just a sliver of battery life left when I remembered this, and I took this and plugged it in, and I just held it like this. And when I wasn't using this, we plugged my husband's phone into this. And for that almost 6 hours, because we had no other opportunity to charge our phones, that we just weren't where we could charge a phone, plug in. And this little thing was a lifesaver. I mean, a lifesaver. I told my husband later, when I realized, you know, how much we had used this in an emergency. Hopefully no one would ever have an emergency where they would have to use it, but it was a lifesaver. So I told my husband, I said, when I can stop, all of our kids are having this. This is a must. So I went online on QVC this morning, and if you've been watching, Lisa is doing her Posh gifts for the season, and she has one of her Posh gifts is it looks like an old gold cigarette lighter with crystals and rhinestones. It's gorgeous. It looks like a cigarette lighter case, or not a cigarette lighter, but a cigarette case from back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. It's beautiful. And that is I think about $55 by itself. But you know what? I loved it. I ordered it for me, and I'm giving this one to, you know, one of our kids, and or maybe our daughter-in-law, and or they still have these on QVC where you can get two. The price is just a couple of dollars higher. But I'm telling you, I can't rave enough about this. This is a lifesaver for us. I don't know what we would have done. I honestly don't know. We would have made it some way, but having this helped so much. So I would tell you, buy one, keep it with you all the time. It weighs a little bit, but not much, and it can be recharged as often as it needs to be recharged. But I believe it said that it holds a 6-hour charge if it's not used for 24 months. That is my review on the Halo. And I don't know if you can get the Halo anyplace other than QVC. I know that I've seen other battery chargers. I know other companies make these. But I thought initially this one was just so cute. This particular set came with this one and a solid red one. And then they were all different colors, even some browns. But I love it. And I know I'm going to love my gold one when I get it. Let's talk about that 3-way poncho. Do you know, if you saw the initial one, and then you saw the second video I did where I got real creative showing all the different ways to use it. After the first video, I heard from both Suzanne and Leslie Hamill. Leslie is Suzanne's daughter-in-law who actually created the 3-way poncho. And and Leslie challenged me to come up with another way to wear it. And that's why I did that video of 20 ways. And after that video published, Leslie tweeted me, and her first words were, "You're hired." And then she told me she thought it was awesome. And we exchanged back and forth, tweets back and forth a little bit. And then in the middle of everything that was going on, I think this is the very last bit of news, and it's about little CocoBean. Again, for those of you who follow CocoBean, she's very, very, very sick. She's still considered critical. The great news is that she's alive. Her veterinarian has told us that when there was actually 3 of them in the practice, one of them is a neurologist, and then one is the one that Coco primarily, who is keeping contact with my daughter about her every day. My daughter has to text her or call her every day and let her know how Coco is doing because her medicine is real tricky. But she has told us that the 3 of the doctors, when they first saw Coco, did not think that she would live, but maybe just a few days. And because she responded initially so well to the steroids and the antibiotic, they still don't know. They still consider her critical. Coco has had her own blog her entire life, almost 8 years. Those past several months, my daughter has been so busy that she's not really posted to Coco's blog, but she saw this as an opportunity to record everything, and for people who do know who Coco is, because Coco has a huge Facebook following, and my daughter decided to start posting on Coco's blog again. So I'm going to put Coco's blog information in the about bar below. If you want to click on, I think it's more. If you click on see more, you'll see her her link to her blog. And so every couple of days my daughter is posting on there what they're doing and how she's doing. She's had her ups and downs, I will tell you. She's had either 2 or 3 more seizures since then when they've tried to change her medicines. But my daughter can give you all the details. And while I'm thinking about it, some of you have gone to Coco's blog and you have left my daughter the sweetest, most kind, loving, caring messages. And, you know, my daughter is just so touched by those messages and appreciates them so much every time she has forwarded them to me so that I can read them too. So if you go to her blog, you know, if you take the minute to go over there to read about Coco and how she's doing, and how they're treating this, make sure and leave a quick little comment. I think that would certainly make my daughter feel better. They think, we still don't know for sure, but they think Coco has GME, which is a form of encephalitis, and it's idiopathic. And it is, it's just not good. The last few days, they are thinking that some of her symptoms are more cancer-like. But they know she has 2 very large lesions on her brain, and her body is trying to attack her brain. And this past week they put her on a new medication that is what humans take when they have organ transplants. It's the medication that keeps them from rejecting that organ. So Coco, that's what Coco is on right now. To look at Coco and to watch her and to see her, you would never know anything was wrong with her, because she plays a little bit. She's active. My daughter has been instructed not to initiate play with her, but if Coco acts like she wants to play a little bit with her, and she does. She wants to play. But she has a huge appetite. As my daughter says, she would eat the couch if my daughter would let her. She's gaining a lot of weight, but the doctors say not to worry about. That's the least of our worries right now. That's a good sign that she's eating, and of course it's the prednisone that's making her eat. But that's the next thing we're going to try to do. I think in a week or so, is try once more to wean her off the prednisone. My daughter, with the doctor's instructions, did start to wean her off, and on the second day she had another seizure, or it's a seizure-like. They think it's more, the spells she's having are more like vertigo. She's with seizures. Supposedly you're not aware of your surroundings, and Coco is aware of her surroundings when she has one of these. It's like she just can't get on her feet. So, but this last one that she had a few nights ago, and they seem to happen in the middle of the night, but this last one that she had, the doctors felt like was more of a seizure and not one of the vertigo type spells, I'll call it. So go to Coco's, if you're interested at all, if you're a dog lover, you might even have fun going back and reading some of the older posts of some of Coco's antics. But I'll have that below for you. That's it. You may see me come back. It seems like there was something else I was going to tell you, but right off the top, I didn't make notes, so I don't know. I'll just keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all of those thumbs up. We love reading, or I love reading your comments. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.